guys, hope you're well. Welcome to DOdaily. It's Des here, live. It's Thursday Thoughts again. Say it every single week, but can't believe it's come around so quick, especially after last week's episode. Talk a little bit about that in a minute, but yeah, it's your chance is to ask me questions, put me on the spot, get me out of my comfort zone, answering whatever you like, the best way I can. I try not to do too much research. It's definitely not the case today. Been a little bit busy. Just got back from a run. Don't know if you can see my red face. Really enjoyed that, getting out in the daylight. Always emphasise the importance of that. And today was no different. Getting out there, the sky was blue. It was absolutely freezing, but just the blue sky made it worthwhile. Seeing where we're able to go right now as a help. And of course, after all the bad weather this week, it's good just to get out and put decent effort in. Not the quickest, but definitely not the slowest either. So got me going a bit, got me out of breath, got me out of my comfort zone. But I love to get a run in before Thursday Thoughts. It just calms me down a little bit. Of course, I've mentioned so many times how much activity works for me, how much getting out there, especially in the daylight, works. And there's always a few nerves before Thursday Thoughts. It's always I get a little bit anxious, but it's just the way it is. I'm always saying I want to sort of push on and do different things, and this is just one way of doing it. As ever, thank you for the questions. Really, really appreciate those. Got a few to go at. Not as serious as last week, but stuff to get stuck into, nonetheless. And of course, without you guys, I can't do this episode. It's based on questions. And of course, thank you for the feedback from last week. It's rapidly becoming my most viewed video. And of course, with the things that were said, it got quite deep. Lots said from myself and Rory. And really sort of enjoy watching it back. Although I will admit, it makes me feel uncomfortable. And I have been anxious all week about it. But there was a reason I said the things I said, and there's a lot more sort of to be said on the back of some of those subjects. Of course, I can only fit so much in, and some more of it might come out in time. There's lots of reasons of why certain things happened and why I responded the way I did. What I will say, though, is one point I didn't quite get across, and I think it's important to mention, especially as we look at mental health quite a lot, sort of on an ongoing basis, is that I sort of touched on a time when I thought, right, I've got to sort this out. But that wasn't the end of the issues. Well, I'm not getting the violin out, but it was a long process. The process just wasn't sorted there and then. It wasn't a case of I decided to be okay and it's fixed. I went through a lot of sort of pain, personal pain, a lot of obstacles in the way, a lot of judgment. Again, a lot of the things was definitely my fault. My decision making, me not doing the right thing, putting myself in a position. But that along the way, there's people who won't let you forget. There's people who judge. And I had to sort of ride that storm, get over it, make tough decisions, sort of move forward, keep pressing on, keep doing the things I do. Just to be that little bit better every day. And in time, I said this, I've said it this week, time becomes a great healer, and even in the times when I need to reflect on that, I've done that. I've mentioned on Monday Motivation this week that I look back. But then as the week's gone on, we've sort of touched upon it and spoke about how we can use the past, the present and the future almost to get us through. And that's something I felt was really important, because whilst that was quite deep and serious, and it was a time for me to reflect, and it was a time for me to look how far I'd come, and people can sometimes do that. Quite often, particularly in this situation right now, I think it's important to focus on the present as much as we can and just sort of not look too far back, not look too far in front. But that was a great episode to sort of get it out there, get out of my comfort zone, show you how bad it got. If you've not seen it yet, give it a look back. It is an uncomfortable watch. Somebody messaged me today, and said that they'd been watching it and they was finding that uncomfortable. It is, like I said, my anxieties have been there, some of the things. Some people will look back and go, well, you did this, you did that. Well, yeah, they're exactly right. I made bad decisions along the way, but what I'm trying to do now is put all that behind me, move forward, learn from it, admit it. I think the first part of any sort of coming to terms with mental health is acceptance and accepting the place you are, and I think what tends to happen is we all get ourselves into such a position because we're striving for the solution, the outcome. We want it yesterday, when really we forget the processes. Everything that's said, whether it's me or people on the television or people on the radio, anybody who's trying to help, these are all tried and tested methods. It's nothing new. It's nothing that we're dreaming up on the spot. It's all sound advice that's been floating around for probably hundreds of years. But when we're not in a great place, we forget the process. And when you realise you have to work through the stages, you have to work forward and do what you have to do. It's not easy. It's not quick sometimes, but it's all about buying that little bit of time, taking those steps into what you have to do. Luckily, I found activity, running and laterally walking, to give me a real sort of push on, help me, and give me that focus. And I think that kind of leads nicely into last week's throwback question. Of course, I like to ask you a question, get your responses. And that was, what is your best coping mechanism to get back on top of your mental health? Like I say, I've mentioned this week, sometimes it's about looking back, sometimes it's about living in the future. My best coping mechanism right now is to get out for a walk. That's evolved slightly from the running, don't get me wrong. Running still gives me the buzz. Running is still what I absolutely love doing. I've just been out there, like I say, look at my time, got a red face, it's got all the endorphins flowing. It's put me in a positive and sort of forward-thinking frame of mind. But when I'm not feeling great, I've really found since lockdown, because I was injured mainly, but I've really found walking. I've said it a lot over the last couple of weeks to several people. I think I said it again last week, that getting out there, I can really switch off from everything. There's lots going off around us right now. Everybody's got an opinion of everything. There's a lot of keyboard warriors out there, and unfortunately we're having to rely probably a lot more than normal on social media for connection. I did say that's a great thing, but of course it brings the negative side as well. There's a lot of people with opinions, with nasty opinions, there's lots of bad news being thrown around. So I feel when I can get out for a walk, the reason I asked this question is because I've realised in the last couple of weeks, when I can get out for a walk, I really sort of just enjoy the fact I can switch off. And sometimes I'll arrange to meet people, but most of the time I do it on my own, because it's that period for part of the day where I can just completely switch out. I don't see anybody. I stick my headphones in if I feel like it. If I don't, I just get out there and do it. And taking the fresh air, taking the surroundings. Whilst it's been cold, I've noticed it really clears my mind. It's good for the soul, and it really sort of changes my mindset. And like today, I come back a lot fresher. I come back fresher for it. When the cold's got to me, when sort of, I don't know, I can't explain it fully, but it just helps me sort of come to terms with everything, reflect on all that bad stuff I've heard, and take that forward in whichever way I sort of deem most suitable for me. It's just fantastic to completely switch off. I bumped into somebody whilst I was out walking yesterday, and we had a quick chat, and we both said the same. There's just nothing that can affect you whilst you're out there, and that's what's really worked for me. Got some great responses as ever. Of course, lots of people who watch DOdaily are into the running and the walking and the exercise. So John said he likes to go for a run and a walk. By the way, happy birthday, John. I believe it's his birthday today. Sorry, I thought the screen had gone off then. Hannah said that she likes to get outside. Kay's best coping mechanism sometimes is just go to sleep. I'm always a little bit frustrated about how well she can switch off and just go to sleep. I've never been a great sleeper myself. I've mentioned that a lot, but she just tends to switch off. And whilst it's frustrating for me because I can't do it, I always say, don't I? You know, sometimes if you're not feeling great, just a little sleep, even a shower sometimes is great, just to sort of freshen you up and just let you forget what was playing on your mind. Simon mentions he's been practicing Buddhism, and whilst it's not quite achieved everything he wants it to, it's having a huge impact, and that's a great alternative, isn't it? I think somebody actually said to me some of my views sometimes align with Buddhism. I'm not quite sure. Not looked at it myself, but perhaps something to look into. But again, if it's working, that's absolutely fantastic. And it's about trying different things, isn't it? Dawn says she likes looking back at old pictures. Again, you know, probably of happy times, but I've said already about sort of reflecting on old times, you know, and seeing how far we've come. Looking at pictures is great because it always puts a smile on our face, doesn't it? It's like music. You never forget the bad times. You know, you always remember the good things from pictures, you know, and how things were. So that's a great thing to do. And of course, I take lots of pictures, and all the time when I'm out, you know, I'm almost documenting what I'm doing, just getting a bit of a timeline. You know, I'll remember each one individually, each one where I've taken pictures, each walk, you know, when I was at that location. And it's just a way of sort of creating and building those memories. Do you know, so there's lots of things to go out there. And somebody messaged me not long before I come on saying that they've had a few, the dark clouds have sort of drew in this week, and they're using walking quite a lot. And subconsciously started counting the steps. They didn't even realise what they were doing, but almost counting the steps to not think about the external things. And again, it's not something I'm familiar with, but if it works, you know, I'm always saying it's about whatever works for the individual. So it's so important to realise how we can, what's best for us, what's best to switch off. And like I say, I always thought it was running. It was running for a time, but more recently it's become a case of me getting out for a walk because I can really take the pace off, process everything, you know, let myself be distracted by things I want to be distracted by, not what sort of being dictated by the television or social media. So thanks for those guys. I think that's a great set of questions. You know, like I say, it's just what I was hoping to achieve by that is just give people ideas of how we get through things. We all get through it differently, you know, and whilst advice is great, whilst these suggestions are fantastic, you know, if somebody can just pick up one of them, take it forward and it works for them, that's absolutely fantastic, isn't it? Like I said, we're always looking for that quick fix, you know, particularly when we're in a bad or dark place. You know, we're looking for that quick fix when really we've got to sort of keep progressing, keep taking a step at a time, you know, keep doing what works for us. And I can assure you when you enjoy things, you know, when you want to enjoy it, when you want to take something on board, when you're thinking about what you're doing, you know, it comes so much more quickly. It comes to you a lot faster than you'd expect. You know, we're always striving for that happiness, you know, and I've learned just through listening to the things I do these days that happiness is something we're never going to achieve. If you set out with the intention to enjoy something, you know, and use what you know, use what works, then you're going to get there a lot quicker. So after all that, getting into the questions, like I said, a bit of a mixed bag. That's absolutely fine. No real theme. No one coming on today. Just my thoughts and opinions. Not gone too deep into looking into these. Simon's first question. I know he's training. He's signed up for a marathon. He might not be training just yet, but he's asked, can you outrun a bad diet? Possibly. It just depends how bad the diet is. I'll be honest with you. A lot of the changes I've been talking about on DOdaily recently, I'm trying to do to create good habits, because a lot of the time I feel I have been able to outrun a bad diet, but the problem comes when you can't run as much. You know, I got injured. I put a lot of weight on when I started running. You know, I did it to lose weight. You know, I was doing all the things I had to do. You know, and well, before I started running, I was doing all the things I had to do to lose weight. then it sort of plateaued off and I had to find something different. So I started running, but that made me a little bit lazy with my diet, because ultimately it was the running that seemed to be doing the trick, But again, that plateaued off. So you get to a point where I feel I've got to a point where no matter how much I run, if my diet's not great, if I'm eating all the wrong things, not all the time, but if sometimes it's okay, to have one or two bad things in a week. But if I'm eating bad things and trying to run it off, it just doesn't work anymore. Our bodies get used to it. Our metabolism get used to it. And that's why I'm creating all these habits about sort of looking into meat and alcohol consumption and what I'm doing, and I like not to think of them as diets. I'm looking to change ultimately, whilst I'm not, some of them are sort of short-term fixes to get me into the habit, I'm not looking to sort of completely eradicate parts of my diet. What I'm looking to do is just make positive changes, things that we know are not good for us, to assist my running. I'm possibly getting to an age now where it's, I'm not saying I'm over the hill, but I still want to achieve things. I still want to get some good results. And whilst it's not everything I do around Do running is not about sort of individual results and success, but I've still got those for myself. I still want that for myself. I want to get PBs. I want to run certain distances and achieve certain times, So it's important for me to look at everything as the bigger picture. In the last few years, I've been injured, I've been ill. So it's not worked. I've got to sort of, again, going back to that thing about acceptance, I've got to sort of stick my hand up and go, yeah, I need to make another change. I made the change with the diet. I made the change with the running. It worked initially and then it plateaus off. Like I say, you just get used to it. So I don't really think you can, I think it's about constantly reviewing what you're doing, taking on advice, looking to make changes. We all know what's good for us. We all know what's bad for us. If we eat chips every day, it's not going to be healthy, is it? If we have chips or a chocolate bar, it's not going to kill us either. It's not going to really affect things. One thing I'm looking to do, Simon, and as your marathon training as well, what I'm going to almost do is really sort of, and it's possibly not the soundest bit of advice, but it's one way I'm going to cope with missing out on some of the things I enjoy. I do sort of like indulging in food and drink. One thing I'm going to do in the build up to the marathon, which is in October, we're actually doing the same marathon, is I'm going to take part in some events. And after that, I'm going to really sort of celebrate the occasion, each one. There's some half marathons in the process, and other events that I'm already signed up to. So that's going to be my time. I look forward to where I eat meat, where I drink alcohol. It might make me not feel too good the day after or for a few days, but we all need something to aim for. We all need to sort of treat ourselves that little bit. And if we get too rigid in what we do, sometimes once we sort of hit the brick wall, once we sort of like let standards drop, we can't get back on it. It takes a lot longer. And that's what I was saying a couple of weeks ago, where at the end of January, I treat myself with bacon and sausage, but then I've got to quickly get back on it. I've got to plan them in then. I'm going to have it throughout the month, but I'm going to plan them in because I want to make that change. I want to achieve things. So I'm sure you can run on not the best diet in the world, but if you want to achieve great things, I think it's really important to look at both. I always say I try not to be too technical, try not to get into the science of it too much, but nutrition is definitely something I want to sort of look at a bit more. I've not felt fantastic over the last year, and if it's not worked to a point, we've got to look for the solution, and potentially diet's been the reason for that. So hopefully that answers your question, Simon. He actually followed that up with question 2 today. Why did you give up fizzy drinks? And I thought it was interesting he asked this. He actually says he could understand the alcohol and he could understand some of the other changes, but why fizzy drinks in particular, especially considering you can have no sugar drinks, and sort of diet drinks, which haven't got the same sort of content. Well, one of my reasons for giving up fizzy drinks, Simon, like in general, it's not necessarily about diet. It is a little bit, because I want to lose some weight. I want to sort of get into those habits I've been talking about. But one of the things I resorted to in the middle of last year, when I was abstaining from alcohol for 100 days, I was drinking too many fizzy drinks. I was looking for that fix. Lucozade, fizzy Lucozade in particular, I was really sort of reaching out and drinking the wrong things. When I needed that little bit of sugar rush, there was just too many. I was drinking it far too often most days. And again, it doesn't make you feel great. It's not just for the sort of amount of calories that are in them, and the fact that they're not good on sugar, just some of the other chemicals, that they're not great. They're literally quick fixes, aren't they? They don't really quench thirst in the same way. What I'm looking to do is completely sort of take those out. Even the diet drinks, like I say, because of the chemicals and the fact, if I'm really honest, I don't like the diet versions, so I don't drink them anyway. Kay's making a real effort with this, and she's removed the diet drinks, and it's mainly because of that sort of reliance on those. That they're addictive, that just like alcohol and things like that they're easy to sort of consume, when really we want to sort of make real good changes, make a real difference. And that means drinking a lot of squash, a lot of water. It's boring sometimes, but I can assure you feel a lot better for it. And that's why we've done it. It's not purely for weight loss. It's to sort of feel better and get more water on board, And we all know the benefit of water, what that can do for us. We could do a complete Thursday Thoughts just on drinking water, and perhaps we will one day. But that's mine and Kay's main reason for sort of cutting out the fizzy drinks. It's because of that over reliance. Kay was drinking far too many diet drinks. I was resorting to fizzy drinks when I didn't drink alcohol, and even when I did drink alcohol, it would be my sort of morning after. I'd be reaching out for it because I was tired, because I wasn't feel great. And again, we all know it's not really the answer. It's only the quickest of fixes to get you into the right frame of mind. Not the right frame of mind. It's a quick fix to get you feeling good, but ultimately, as the day goes on, it doesn't, because you need the water, you need the more pure drinks to get you through. So hopefully that answers that too. Two great questions there, by the way. That it's kind of reflective on the habits I've been trying to create, but I think it's important that people understand why we're trying to do it. And I can't always get the message across exactly how I want to, because of time and because I can't do that necessarily the way I want to sometimes. But it's important that if you don't understand, just keep asking, and there's always a reason for it. And it's just about making those small changes. Moving on to question 3. This is from Kay herself. She was just sort of murmuring away about a question before I got on and asking a few things. So I said, why don't we sort of answer it there, and put it into the questions today. So what is your next target after those achieved in January? Of course, I'm really pleased with myself, what I did in January, really sort of set a high benchmark. I really pushed myself to lose weight, to run every day, to not drink, to not eat meat. Quite a lot going on at once, and sometimes that's not the best thing to do. Like I've said, it's about small steps and making that small progress. But I feel I've been working on each of them over the last 12 months in particularly the last 6 months. I've been working at them, and I wanted to try and sort of do them all together. I was running something in my own time called Iron Jan Whip, which is almost like an Ironman plan, but without the boot camp session. But I wanted to almost push myself to the absolute limit to see what I could do. And I managed to get some great results. I'm really proud of myself. Some of the guys who've been sort of getting themselves involved in that as well have really achieved some great things. So it was really important to do that. And then, of course, we set ourselves these targets at the start of the year. And I've spoken about this every week since the start of the year. And we can sometimes quickly forget. So it's important to sort of keep moving forward, keep planning forward. I've actually extended that Iron Jan thing into a thing called Fitter Feb, and kind of carrying on along the same lines. Set myself sort of 5 targets again to complete throughout the month. Nothing too difficult, nothing sort of unachievable, getting up at a certain time, reading a book a week maybe, just all things self-care, self-development, things to get us sort of thinking and working on our own mindset and mindfulness, and things that we can sort of look back on and go, that works, or even that doesn't work. So it's important to keep moving forward. So basically, to answer Kate's question, what I'm looking to do is almost extend on those from January. Whilst I'm not going to stick to them rigidly, I mentioned there the meat, for example. I said last week, on Valentine's Day, we plan to have a steak. We've had little bits of meat in between, but what I want to do is almost carry each task forward, but not do it as much as we used to before. So like with the meat and the drink, I'm not drinking during the week. I'm trying to work all these things to a 5-2 rule. So 5 of the days of the week, I'm not going to do it. And then 2, kind of allow myself. So whilst it's not exactly the challenge from before, it's about building up that habit, building up that resilience to the thought of having it, stopping yourself a little bit. And it's restrictive. Sometimes it's frustrating because you're stuck for choices or you really fancy something. But if you want to be better, it's only ourselves that can change that. We can make excuses all the time, but if we want results, we've got to put it in. And I think I don't know whether it's still on my Facebook heading, but I've had it before, a banner that says you can have excuse or you can have results. You can't have both. So sometimes it's about pushing yourself that little bit harder. Really trying to sort of see things through and going without. Whilst I'm not completely going without those things, it's just about extending. The running, for example, I've now run every day for over 100 days. People keep asking me about that one. Do you plan on seeing it through February? Do you plan on going for the whole year? No, not at all. But what I want to do is just keep going. Just see how long it goes. If I'm injured, and I am carrying a bit of a strain, I've pushed a little bit at times this week, but at other times I've really sort of eased off. Because that's important. But if I'm really injured, I'll have to stop. What I'm trying to do is just to keep going, keep that consistency, because I know when I'm consistent, when I'm making good, healthy, consistent choices like running, eating the right foods, drinking the right things, I'm consistent in my decision making, I'm consistent in my determination, to do the things I want to do. And it's all about progress and the processes it takes to get to where we want to. Going right back to the start of this episode, and I don't want to keep dwelling on that. This will be my last word, but I want to be better, and I'm not, despite whatever anybody thinks, from the journey I've made in the last few years, I still hit some really low spots. I'm working on these mechanisms to try and drag me out of it, and it's about creating habit and extending on all these things to try and be better going forward. And the more we can do that, the more it builds resilience. I think I've proved with some of the things that I've been thrown at us, even in the last 12 months, that I'm getting a lot better at it, learning to deal with things. So the more we can extend on the things we set ourselves, don't just give up because New Year's over, and then we like let ourselves go until Lent, and then you might do Lent, and then you let yourself go again. It's important just to keep working at these things, isn't it? Use them if you have to. There's too many people out there being negative, being critical. Oh, everybody will be doing this, and we'll get it again on Valentine's Day, or I love my partner every day of the year. Why do people have to show it? Why not? It's a positive celebration of what it is. I'm not saying we're going to have an amazing day and do really soppy things, but the point is, why criticize it? Do what you have to do. If you feel like you don't need that day to celebrate it, fantastic. But it's about using whatever works for you. Keep moving forward, and that's all I'm trying to do with all these things, is just keep taking those challenges forward. I'll use the new year. Not that I have to. Sometimes I'll set a challenge from today, but I'll use the new year. I'll think of something for Lent. I'll celebrate Valentine's Day the way I want to do it. And when you do all those things, you know, it's important just to keep pushing them forward. And remember, it's whatever works for you. So hopefully that kind of answers that question without anything specific. I'm just trying to sort of extend on them good habits. And that's been a bit of a theme today, isn't it? It's been working to those good habits. And changing the subject almost entirely, but a great question nonetheless. We had a bit of a group discussion in a WhatsApp group. Really glad someone posted it. You know, it was Tom, I believe. He posted a question about your sporting heroes. He was having a conversation with Elliot, his friend, who's also part of DOdaily. And the WhatsApp group, of course, can get a little bit sort of, we mentioned last week what social media can do and how people can use it for the wrong reasons. But I absolutely love the fact Tom posted a random question in about who are your 5 sporting heroes, and then we had a conversation and people gave theirs. Do you know, that's absolutely brilliant, because I think that's a positive way we can use it. Do you know, it takes our mind off the situation. Do you know, it makes us think of sort of great people we look up to, people that inspire us. Do you know, and that's what it's all about. It's about inspiring and motivating. And whilst we look to do it for each other, whilst I'm looking to help people in my sort of community and in my circle, you know, we're all inspired by great people. My list included Brian Clough, Ayrton Senna, you know, all those kind of people. So it was a great conversation to have, and that's where I think social media can be really positive, because it can just take people away from the moment, just take them to a different place. So on the back of that, Ben basically asked, of course, DOdaily is strongly linked to running. You know, it's what we all form from, what most of the people who get involved are into. You know, included in my list of my 5 all-time sporting heroes was Eliud Kipchoge. Do you know, I actually believe he's the greatest sportsman ever, because I know how difficult it is to run. Do you know, and to run a sub-2-hour marathon, assisted in whichever way they say it was assisted, I believe you still have to move your legs. You know, you can have all this technology you want, but I can't go and run a 2-hour marathon. So I think that kind of achievement was the greatest achievement known. You know, it's all about physical ability, you know, about strength and determination and commitment and dedication, you know, all the things you need. And I just can't look any further than Kipchoge. Do you know, growing up, the first Olympic Games I can remember was 1992. Linford Christie won the 100 meters. That's an amazing thing, do you know, and I've watched people like Michael Johnson. Do you know, I can just remember the back end of Steve Cram and Sebastian Coe, you know, all people, but that was all pre-running days. So it's not really until sort of latter years that I've looked on runners as real heroes, and like I say, Kipchoge is the best example of the lot. But Usain Bolt, what a man he was, you know. He's got the medals to prove it. He's got the flamboyance and the arrogance that he deserves, really, you know. And you also look at Mo Farah, you know, Mo Farah, from his background, you know, and the way he sort of he came to this country and he's won gold medals for Great Britain. And obviously, being patriotic as I am, you know, that's an amazing thing. I don't think anybody can forget Super Saturday in 2012. So they're just some of my running heroes, you know, people I really look up to. I'm really, because I've got into running quite late, one of the things I tend to do, and I think this is really sort of interesting, because it's a new sort of hobby of mine in the last few years. I'm watching up and coming athletes. You know, one I'm particularly sort of keen to see develop, sorry, is Laura Muir. She's really, really talented, really young, but she's smashing all sorts of records. And I think she did something quite impressive last night, come second to a world record holder. So I'm always keen to see how she's developing, you know. But of course, when the athletics is on the television now, I pay that extra little bit of attention, you know, and I absolutely love it. It's fantastic to see. So there's a few real inspirations to go at there, but I'm also inspired by people locally, you know. people do great things, whilst lots of people within the running group do fantastic miles at fantastic pace. There's people who go and churn it out, who are absolutely fantastic at just getting out there every day, getting a run in. Those people, those are the ones that really inspire me. The guys that run fast, the guys that run far, they impress me. It is impressive, but the real inspirations are the ones who find it that little bit tougher, that almost sort of churn it out, because in many ways, despite the fact I'm probably not quite at that level, I'm progressed a little bit from that. That's what I feel like I'm doing. Never find it easy. Not really built. I have problems with my weight, so I feel I have to churn it out a bit. So I see a little bit of, I feel a little bit their pain, and that's why those people really inspire me, as opposed to the guys who do amazing things. Some of the guys run half marathons every day. Ben, some guys run super distances. What are incredible, run for 100 days like myself, but run much more miles. And that's all impressive stuff. But that doesn't inspire me. The real inspirations are the guys who just go out and do it. Just doing it. It's what it says there, isn't it? And then also those guys that really sort of try and push on, really want to make a difference when they've struggled. I've mentioned in this last couple of months, I've been trying different things and working one-on-one with people. And when you see that extra level of determination, when the penny drops and they realise they can do things, that's really sort of impressive too. So that's today's questions, guys. Thanks for that, Ben. I really appreciate that. And everybody else who has contributed. Really, really love the Thursday thoughts. Like I say, it's all just chat, just waffling away about this, that, and the other. Hopefully somebody can take something from it somewhere, whether it's the answers to that throwback question, and the ideas you could get to try and progress, to try and get through those bad days. There was a few things there, and I'm sure there's lots of people with their ideas too. If you've got anything to add, please put it in the comments. What I'm going to use today is I'm going to use Ben's question as the throwback question, but I'm going to change it slightly. So I'm going to go back to Tom's original question. Who is your all-time sporting hero? You can only pick one. I could have picked 10. Tom asked for 5. I could have picked 10. Most people said they could have picked 10. I want one all-time sporting hero. Comment below. Do it now. Don't think about it all week. There must be that one person. It will take 2 seconds to comment, but it'll give me some great feedback to read out next week again, to sort of get people thinking of all these great achievements and things people have done. Perhaps look them up on YouTube. I'm always sort of following people that impress me. I talk about it every day now, podcast this, podcast that, always off again. But it's because people impress me, people inspire me. I want to know more. I want to know more about what I'm doing. I want to be able to sort of deliver DOdaily better. So it's all about putting that bit of effort in, isn't it? I always say you get out what you put in, So if I keep doing those kind of things, if you keep putting in, you'll get a lot more out of it. It works both ways. So just comment, guys. Like, share, subscribe, the usual. Again, it takes 2 seconds. If you've not done it yet, just do it now. You don't have to do anything when it pops up. Watch it whenever you want. But if you could subscribe, that'd be fantastic. I'm trying to build the channel. I'm getting a bit more confident, hopefully progressing. And like I say, this week was purposely not supposed to be as serious as last week. There'll be occasions when that sort of creeps up again, and we talk about the same kind of thing. I want it to be somewhere where people can relate to, whether they're fully into the activity or not. We work a lot around activity, running and encouragement, but I also want it to be where people can use the advice in everyday life, feel it's a safe space to check in, and just see some positivity. I try and be positive. I've had some nice comments this week following the video, but also on some of the other videos, just trying to be that. All I'm trying to be is a bit of a chink of light. I mentioned yesterday we're struggling a little bit, aren't we, to see the end of the light at the end of the tunnel right now. So let's just keep working off each other. Let's just keep working in the moment. Give it a real go. And that's all Thursday's about. That's all today's been about. Nothing too deep, nothing too complicated, just answering questions in the moment. So do all those things. I'll be back in the morning. Of course, if you've got any questions for next week, if you've got any comments you'd like to email, you can see the email address there, des@dorunning.org.uk. Follow us on all the social media, @DoRunning19, @DOdaily2020. The links on all the videos at the end, you see it going up along the bottom there, and I'll be back for Wake Up to Walk in the morning around about 8 p.m. whenever I get there. As ever, don't know where I'm going, but I'm really looking forward to it. I've had a really good week, really positive week of Do Daily, really nice week off as well, getting in plenty of activity. So I'll have a spring in my step, although I have got to go back to work next week. I'm looking forward to getting up tomorrow, getting in a good walk and making the most of my last full day off. I'm going to be getting in plenty of daylight, I can assure you. So until tomorrow, guys, have a great evening. Take care and make sure you're just doing it.